I take calls from economic development organizations from other states, and I will tell you how they react to the model of what we're doing here is, my God, how did you do that? I wish we had one of those in our state.
In 2005, NC IDEA began with a simple focus: to decrease the funding gap for early-stage, high-growth, technology-based companies with no strings-attached funding.
Early stage funding was in chaos. Angel groups had completely collapsed, and funds were no longer really writing checks. There was a big need for capital locally. And that was one of the motivations for MCNC deciding to fulfill its economic development mission.
You need to be able to test an idea. You can't go to a bank and get $10,000 or $50,000. There's no way to do that. Sometimes those first dollars make all the difference with an entrepreneur.
How many companies has NC IDEA funded over the years? It's over $25 million now that goes out in grants, and that's produced a tidal wave of new companies that keep the entrepreneurial spirit strong across the state.
The fact that NC IDEA does not rely upon, outside sources of funding really means that it does get to set its own direction.
Having control of your own funding and continuing to fund what you believe in, it doesn't matter what edict comes down from other places. And I think that's an example for other entities. Like, if you can make yourself independent as possible and continue to do your good work.
With an entrepreneurial vision and a profound understanding of the interchange between technology, economics, and public policy, NC IDEA founder David Rizzo laid the groundwork for everything that followed.
And so Dave started spinning out these companies, and one of them hit. And all of a sudden, there's a couple of $100 million over there. And lo and behold, the state government says, you know what? That $200 million is exactly how much we've financed over the last 20 years. We'll take it. And Dave said, no, whoa, wait.
I was lucky enough to be almost in the room when Dave Rizzo first talked about what a seed grant would be and how cool it would be to put a $50,000 direct infusion into a company. And so it took a year or two to figure it all out and roll it out. And I think now some 400 companies have directly received critical funding at that early stage, and it's because of NC IDEA.
He really is one of the premier founders of the technology ecosystem within North Carolina. NC IDEA is his everlasting legacy.
In those early years, most grant recipients naturally hailed from a concentrated area around our headquarters in Durham, North Carolina. Over time, and with persistent efforts to serve our statewide mission, we broadened the geographic and demographic distribution of those we serve. As NC IDEA increased its activity in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, it became increasingly clear that companies needed more than just a check. They needed support.
We were learning new markets. We were figuring out how can you deploy the money outside of RTP? Can you find underserved populations? So we tested, we created, we started with small grants, we listened, learned, we adapted, we modified. So we did that year over year. So it's just in the DNA of the organization to be like your customers, be like the entrepreneurs, and to figure things out.
Helping those that had historically not had access, not had the means or the capacity or the networks, but by bringing them back together and into the fold, we finally got to a point where we had an ecosystem that was a fair fight for everybody for limited resources.
Through North Carolina Black Entrepreneurship Council, we have awarded over $2 million to Black-owned businesses across the state of North Carolina. We have also spawned off and started to support rural entrepreneurship as well. We're teaching them everything that's needed to be entrepreneurial and to be innovative.
For most of its second decade, Tom Rue has been at the helm of the organization. His commitment to lead with purpose and create a lasting impact has amplified our capacity to empower more North Carolinians to reach their entrepreneurial potential.
I feel like a proud parent in watching something that you helped create go to an entirely different level with the next generation of leadership.
He said he took the leadership role with a service attitude. And I think he's done that.
Since his leadership over the past decade, I have just seen this organization grow exponentially.
And now you go across the state and everybody knows about NC IDEA and the good work that's been done.
Fostering an ecosystem that enables individuals to turn innovative ideas into scalable, sustainable ventures is a powerful approach that leverages entrepreneurship as a driver of growth, job creation, and lasting wealth.
We're actually redefining best practices in economic development. With our work, we're creating the next generation of companies that will start here and grow here.
Companies are much more likely to stay in North Carolina rather than move to New York or California for early stage funding if they can get early funding here. Nature of the grant program allows them to develop and grow. So those roots that companies develop early on are really important for these companies to stay.
For 20 years, NC IDEA has been a driving force in transforming the landscape of equitable economic development, championing innovation, inclusion, and collaboration. We celebrate not just the milestones we've achieved, but the incredible ecosystem we've empowered along the way. Together, we're leading the way forward with this thing of ours.
NC IDEA supports economic development. As we look at growing the workforce, entrepreneurship is really at the foundation of that.
Without the NC IDEA organization, we would not have the economy that we have today and a brighter future.
There's nothing else like it anywhere in the country. That's one of the remarkable things when I got involved. It just doesn't exist.
So here we are, celebrating our 20th anniversary. I can only be starstruck at what's ahead of us. I can only anticipate with great joy and excitement what's still out there for us to accomplish. Let's join forces, let's pool our resources to continue to do not only the right things, but the smart things that strengthen the economy and serve humanity. That's the nature of this work, and we would welcome anybody that wants to join us in it.